Greetings. You're listening to Rebels Remembered, featuring Caitlin DeFord and Kelsey DeFord.
Greetings, travelers across the galaxy. I am Kelsey.
I am Caitlin.
And this is Rebels Remembered, and today we're discussing the Star Wars Rebels episode from Season 3, Episode 14, Warhead. Warhead originally aired on January 14th, 2017. Synopsis reads, Zeb brings a mysterious droid back to the Rebel base. This was written by Gary Whitta, who's sort of known for Rogue One.
Yeah.
And some other episodes he wrote for Rebels. This is also directed by Bosco Ing. I think that's how you say his last name.
Finally, we have a way to say his name.
Which we've seen him pop up a lot.
So this episode is pretty straightforward. I know we have a couple of plot points. Overall, though, even though it is straightforward, I found myself actually enjoying this episode. I know most people would consider it filler.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I was surprised that I enjoyed it.
Same.
Because I think I've seen this episode maybe twice.
This was my second viewing, so that might be why I liked it better, because I didn't honestly know what was going to happen.
Okay. Yeah, I would say out of the filler that's in Star Wars Rebels, like, we are under the impression that there is filler. There's some people that aren't like that. Everything's important. But in Rebels, I would specifically say the filler episodes, this is the strongest one so far.
I agree. So some trivia for this episode. The original story pitch that this episode was B story, happening at the same time of Trials of the Darksaber, but both grew to become full episodes on their own. So interestingly enough, I believe Trials of the Darksaber is the next episode we're covering. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that this was going to be a side thing, but they decided to devote more time to Zeb and a little bit more time to Kallus too, as his role as now Fulcrum. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I also think, like, as far as, like, Sabine, her sort of backstory gets revealed in the next episode, it makes sense for this to be separate from that.
Agreed. The opening scene staging, sound design, and music are homages to The Empire Strikes Back, with the Star Destroyer launching multiple probes, like one falling to Hoth. So the beginning of this episode starts with it looks like a protocol droid being sent to Adelon. Yeah. My question here, sorry, I don't mean to go sidebar here for a minute, but, like, at the beginning, did I miss something, or does it just start with it landing?
It literally kind of just starts with it landing.
Okay.
And then it cuts to everyone leaving, and then Sarah tells Zeb that he's in charge.
Okay.
But it literally starts with that thing being rocketed off of, I guess, a Star Destroyer, and then landing.
Hobby and Wedge are in this episode, and they are now dressed in Rebel pilot uniforms. For some reason, they're very clumsy, because I believe they run into one another. And if you watch that back, you see Zeb and Ezra laughing at them.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
They kind of go,
They were getting laughed at. Wow.
The countdown display is similar to a device used by the alien hunter in the movie Predator. I've never seen Predator. Not really one for horror movies, that's probably why. But the countdown timer of the droid is similar to that. Which is, I believe, a Predator might be an 80s movie. Maybe. If we're pulling in from, like, it seems like they tend to pull in 70s and 80s stuff because of,
Like Star Wars, I feel like it's weird because it's, like, still kind of, well, it's a long time ago, so it is back then, but it's still kind of futuristic, but also it's still kind of 70s. I don't know, it's really odd.
They want to keep that look, I think, too, of the 70s and 80s,
So, plot-wise, basically we've got, like we said, this probe door. I thought it was a probe droid initially.
I thought it was a protocol
we have
droid.
Something land on Adelon, and then Hera and I don't know if they're going on. They're going on a training exercise. That's right.
Yeah.
So she's taking a lot of the pilots and the crew with her, and she leaves Zeb in charge of the base, which she says that you're my chief of security.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
And I think that's the first time we've heard that.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he is referred to as captain in this. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we've heard his rank before either.
I think that's the first time both of those things get revealed to us. And so it's sort of like watch the house while we're gone type of deal.
Yeah.
And you hope that, I think Zeb's will like, well, I'm going to be bored. There's nothing to do. Except AP5 wanting to count boxes of stuff.
So fun. I've done inventory at my previous job, and yeah, it's not fun. It's pretty boring. You count things.
Pretty monotonous to count things.
Yeah.
But he gets, he talks to, I guess, one of the rebels that works with them and says, we've got something that's fallen to the surface. And so Zeb brings Chopper and AP5 to go check it out. And then he basically makes a decision to bring it back to the base. What did you think about that decision to sort of bring it back when you don't know? Like, honestly, like, from Zeb's perspective, this was a droid that's clearly been shut down and, like, he's not moving, not functioning, but...
I think it makes sense because I'd rather find out what it is than just leave it wander around the base.
Could you not find out what it is before you got back to the base, though?
I don't know, because don't they have to, like...
I can't remember what they
AP5 scans it or something to try to figure out what it is, and he says his memory's been messed up on the landing or something. So, I mean, if you look how the episode plays out, I understand why you would be like, just leave it. But I think you're taking a bigger risk when you just leave it there.
Mm-hmm. Well, even Chopper wants to destroy it.
Yeah, that actually should have... well, no, it shouldn't have happened.
No, because if it gets destroyed, then that again is going to narrow down Thrawn's search for this base. Because out of the 94 we sent, one of them didn't come back, and they blew up here, or they were destroyed at this coordinate, this place. But I initially, because of how the episode plays out, I was like, why did you take it back to the base to then figure out what it was?
Because we wouldn't have an episode.
That's true. We wouldn't have an episode. When they bring back the droid, it has no memory of working for the Imperials. It just kind of starts scanning and recording everything it sees, which to the audience we're like, oh, that's an Imperial droid. Like, I knew it was an Imperial droid. But Zeb and the rest of them don't know this information.
Yeah, and I don't think it's in the trivia, but I might just be looking into this. If you look at the original concept drawings of C-3PO as a protocol droid, it looks similar to this design. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know if that's fact, but it looks similar to me. So I assumed it was just an Imperial protocol droid. I didn't see it as what it actually is.
Well, even if it's a protocol droid, I didn't like how, just from a strategic point of view, that it started tallying everything at that base. And then, because any information can be deadly, that it could potentially take back to the Empire.
Well, like I said, this is my second viewing. I was like, oh, he can help them. He's counting all the boxes. That's cool. Now they don't have to waste their time doing that.
Yeah, we do get a little bit of, Zeb putting up with both AP5 and Chopper that are being sassy. And
that's a interesting setup anyway, because you have Zeb who's very, like, I don't think people give Zeb enough credit, which you find out in this episode. He is very intelligent. He's not just like musclehead, I'm busting buckets type of guy. I mean, he is, but he is intelligent. But you have AP5 that just sees him as a brute, and I think he calls him a grunt.
Yeah. So they bring it back, and it begins scanning the inventory. Agent Kallus, under the cover of Fulcrum, contacts the base and tells Zeb the Empire is missing an EXD infiltrator droid. While they appear harmless, they are actually more dangerous.
This part terrified me, especially the way the specs look when you see what it actually looks. It's creepy and terrifying to me. For some reason, it freaked me out. Because I'm like, oh, now this thing's just wandering around the base. Like,
yeah, and I feel like, for me, it's more scary because it's a droid.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, if it was a human, I don't know. I guess because the droids can be programmed to basically kill. Like, a human can kind of question and have their own free will, but I feel like, to some degree, a droid may not have the same free will if it's been heavily programmed.
But you can't go by us. We love the movie iRobot, as terrifying as it is. So, I always have questions about... I mean, this is going to sound like a hot take, because I know there are droids in Star Wars that are lovable, and we love them, like R2, BB-8, 3PO, all of them, because they're very human.
Right.
These types of droids bother me, because they're kind of not.
They're cold, and they have one job, which is to exterminate,
It's just, I don't know why it disturbs me, but I'm all about robots being creepy anyway, so.
Yeah, I remember we were watching that, and when the specs popped up, you were like, I just got chills. I'm like, do you really not remember this episode?
I didn't, and I literally, if I watch it now, it'll probably happen again, like, it literally went up my arms. It was like, oh my gosh, what do we do now? Because it's already here.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
So once that gets revealed, its memory comes back, which is what AP5 says, and it's this really kind of over the shoulder shot where you see the droid in full view and they're behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it begins to learn that it's on a rebel base, like the word rebels mentioned, and that's sort of like, I don't know, that was the clue word to get it to reactivate, I guess. And so it begins to attack Zeb, which, how strong is this thing?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think it either flipped Zeb or threw him at one point. It tries to choke him at one point.
It's creepy. It's creepy. And the fact that there's a scene where they lose it because it kind of wanders off, and it's so disturbing that they find this droid chilling with its parts missing. And AP5 is like, it's repairing itself. So my immediate, I don't know what your thought it was on this. My immediate thought was AP5 and Chopper are in danger.
Yep.
And I think that added more to, we don't know where this thing is, and now he's just
swiping parts from droids.
That's just disturbing and creepy. I don't like it.
But they do send Chopper, because they do get attacked. I think Zeb does damage it with a blaster, ergo Watts
Oh,
itself.
yeah.
But when they try to get Chopper to track it, it has that creepy scene where Chopper's like going, and mind you, this is also an inventory full of weapons that if you're firing, as AP5 mentions, like it's flammable, it can explode. But you have that scene of Chopper going down these aisles of crates, and he sees bolts being thrown to the side, and it's that thing that's like murdering another droid. It's kind of disturbing.
And I have to say this for season 3, we see a lot of these very powerful droids in this season. We get this infiltrator droid.
Yeah, that's true. I think about that.
And when Kathu job, we get those gigantic, I don't know what they're called, I'm terrible with names. The ones they face there, and they're creepy. And then later they make another appearance where Thrawn's fighting them. Which, that dude, I don't know how much he bench presses, but
yeah, we get the really smart droid. I can't think of, I'm not good with droid names.
We get Kalani in the last battle. There's a lot of creepy droid action in season 3.
Yeah. They do have this plan, or Zeb has this plan to just grab it and have AP5 reprogram it, which again shows Zeb does have some intelligence, but also that first battle, he there was no match for him. Even when he like does jump on it and like tries to like hold on to it, he's like struggling, like Zeb is struggling.
Yeah.
And so normally this guy can just punch you and you're out.
Yeah.
But so he has to fall back on him, his intelligence.
Yeah.
And his strategy, because he can't just take this thing out with a fist.
Yeah.
Before they reprogram it, though, they realize that there's a self-destruct sequence to this thing. I don't know if what they say, like, does it do it when it's just knocked out, or? I
think it's a security measure or something. When they tried to reprogram it, it was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to self-destruct. Something to do with its programming. Okay. But also, it has a warhead attached to it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So not only is it going to reveal your location, but it's going to take out a big chunk of that base, probably.
Probably all of it. So Chopper begins to freeze the countdown. Then they decide to...
Sorry, I interrupted.
Okay.
Have we ever seen Chopper freeze anything?
Oh, yeah, I remember you saying that when we were watching it. I don't think so.
I don't think I've ever seen him... I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen him freeze something.
I think I could be completely imagining this. Could be Mandela effect. Didn't we see him put a fire out? With like
maybe.
A fire extinguisher? But I don't think I've ever seen like a freeze ray.
Me neither.
I didn't know that he had that in his arsenal.
I didn't either, so this is news to me.
Yeah, so Chopper freezes it to get the countdown to stop. And then AP5 reprograms it to where it's just gonna go back to the Empire, essentially.
The fact that there's this part when they let it go, when it goes back to being protocol-y, I don't know if that's a word, and they're watching it to see what it does, was very creepy to me. And then they're like, oh, it's gonna contact the Empire, and they're like, no, I'll just take out the
communication thingy with your blaster.
Thingamajig, yeah. But yeah, I thought it was kind of smart too, because you're kind of stuck. If it detonates here, they're gonna know we're here. But if we can't just let it wander around kind of like it's almost like you're stuck. Like what do you do? So this plan of sending it back to them, to me, was genius.
Yeah, even though it does narrow down Thrawn's idea of the planets, it could have been narrowed down even further if it had blown up or contacted the Empire. It would have been over. Yeah. So I think it was smart of Zeb to come up with that plan to just reprogram it, send it back.
Yeah, and even Kallus is amazed at that. Mm-hmm. Like, he even smiles when it detonates. And then when he talks to Thrawn about it, it's like, that's pretty ingenious. Mm-hmm. You know. So even though he's on their side, they're still surprising him. Yeah.
But also, like, I love the way Kallus, you know, at the very end when he talks to Thrawn and, you know, Thrawn's like, Thrawn ends it something very ominous where he says he's pleased because he's narrowed down his search for the Rebel base. I think he said, I've narrowed it down to 94 planets.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's still a lot. Probably, a lot less than you were dealing with, but how Kallus could remain just so, well, one, I guess he didn't want to get killed, but I would laugh. I would have a hard time trying not to laugh.
Well, the reason he doesn't is because he's like, it's Thrawn, and I think he realizes, he's going to use even more methodology to narrow it down even further. Yeah. And I'm curious, because I do not remember this season after this point. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a couple episodes. I remember, like, Sabine's episodes and stuff. I don't remember how or when or if he finds out about Chopper Base.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
So I'm very excited to see what happens there.
Yeah, but we do get, even though Kallus doesn't laugh, we do get a little smirk from him when it explodes. Yeah. And of course, Zeb has to call Hera and everybody back, and she's upset that, why'd you call me back this early? And that's when he was like, well, we didn't know what was going to happen. Like, the Empire could show up. And that's when Kallus calls in, and it's sort of like, what happened? It's like, it's a long story. Like, Zeb just kind of expected to have a quiet evening at home, and that's not what happened. Mm-hmm. What did you rate this episode?
I believe I gave it a 7, actually.
I have a 7 as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I think, again, out of the fillers, it's the strongest one.
Which is crazy, because I do remember watching this when it first aired, and it might be because I was focused on other things. It might have been playing in the background, I'm not sure, and I was like, I'm kind of bored with this. But watching it this time, like, how can you get bored with this?
Yeah, the pacing is really good.
Yeah.
The pacing is really strong. There was not one point where I'd be like, what time is it? I'm bored, you know.
It wasn't like last episodes of this stupid egg.
Last episode, I'll be honest, should not have been 2 parts. I think that's what it was. Yeah. A lot of it can be cut out. You didn't hear that from me. But yes, so very strong episode for a filler episode.
Mm-hmm. And it's cool because we get to see more of Zeb. Mm-hmm. So.
And those arms, dude.
I know. Like,
hear me out. Zeb's arms.
just his arms. Like,
dude works out. I don't even know how much he can bench press. I don't know. All right, let's go ahead to our activity that I came up with called Rebel Choices. So this is sort of like a this or that game. Some of them might take a little bit more thinking. Some of them immediately I would answer this way.
Okay.
But yeah, it's sort of like this or this, and you have to pick from the ors or between the 2 choices. Okay, first one is a droid question. AP5 or Chopper? And the question is, who is sassier out of the 2 of them?
Oh my gosh, they're both so sassy. I don't know. AP5 was throwing some burns at Zeb in this one. So that's kind of difficult. Because I just can't stand him. I know that's a hot take. AP5 for me.
I was going to say AP5 as well. I feel like Chopper is more lazy. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, why are you making me do that?
He's sassy, but he has moments where he's like, just, yeah, like you were saying, there's more to him to just sassiness, and he's more like lazy and just, I want to do my own thing. Yeah. Can't blame the droid for that.
Okay. Who would you rather have leading a recon mission? So, specifically a reconnaissance mission.
Okay.
Ezra or Zeb?
Ezra, I love you. You're still my favorite character. But I gotta go with Zeb on this one because Ezra is still learning.
I think so too, and I think even though he's less impulsive, I feel like there is a part of him that's still smidgen. If he sees something like, oh, well, let's just do this, like it's suddenly not a reconnaissance mission like it was intended to be.
Yeah.
I can still see that happening. All right, which would you rather not discover on your rebel base? The exploding infiltrator droid or a malfunctioning probe droid?
This infiltrator droid bothered me. I don't want him anywhere near me. This creepy. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, the probe droid, it's kind of like the...
You can take it out pretty easily.
Yeah, it's like a drone, like a police drone, like an Imperial drone. Like, they're here. You can take it out pretty easily. And I guess it could technically shoot at you.
Yeah, it can, but, like, there's so many parts in Star Wars where you just shoot it and it'll fall down. This one's like... Zeb couldn't take it out, so...
That's true. That's a beast. Alright. Which is your favorite to watch? Kallus the Spy or Thrawn the Strategist?
Ooh, I love these. I enjoy watching both of them just to see, especially for me, personally, this was one of the biggest things I loved about Season 3 was this Kallus and Thrawn kind of back and forth. Kallus, because I didn't know if he was going to get found out or not. Like,
yeah. I like to see Thrawn because there would be times where, it was like the end of this one, like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know that you had that in your back pocket. Or that was your, plan B, C, D, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Kallus, though, it's just, it's more fun to watch because the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
You don't know if he's going to survive or not.
Yeah.
Whereas Thrawn, he's... correct me if I'm wrong, Timothy Zahn's book, is it before Rebels?
I have no idea at this point. He's written...
Part of me was like, I don't think Thrawn's gonna die. Like, part of me was just thinking maybe,
he had a bigger
But Kallus, I was like, I don't know, know. What's your favorite kind of episode setting? Space battles or base missions?
Space battles?
Like, basically, space or land, basically.
I love ground assault. Let's go. Okay. Let's go in there.
I would say that's a toss-up for me. I like both of them. I guess it just depends on which one's better, which mission looks cooler.
True.
I don't know.
Blasting some ties out of orbit is still fun.
It's
in a video game.
Yeah. Barrel roll.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay, which loss would hurt the rebellion more? Spectre team losing their base or revealing their spy?
The base. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's more, if they lose Kallus, yes, that sucks, because he was kind of their inside man. Ding ding.
Segue.
But the base is more important.
Yeah, the entire season 2 is a lot of them trying to find a location for a base.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of like, it's a hard thing to say, but it's like one person or more people, more...
Are you leading into a Star Trek reference here?
Am I?
The needs
Isn't
of the
sacrilege?
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Or the one, and the one, unfortunately, I think in this question has to be Kallus.
Kallus, yeah.
Okay, who's got your back when things go sideways? Or would you rather face a rogue droid with Zeb or Chopper?
Zeb. A Chopper, I feel like he might leave you. You never know with him.
I don't know, this episode, poor guy just kept shocking the thing.
Oh, that's true, bless his soul.
Yeah, like, even when it was clearly not working.
He's like, this is all I can do. I'm trying to help.
And then later he was like, he froze the countdown, like, Chopper, why were you doing that before? Freeze the thing, Jesus.
Who would you pick?
Zeb.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My man. That was fun. I liked those.
Yeah, because I feel like this episode's very much, do we do this or do we do that? Like, this or that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good call.